Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi. I have the pleasure and the honor of actually having Mr. Vikram Sood. I don't think I can introduce him better than that. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you, sir, once again on the show. Looking forward to
Thank you for
learning
having
from
me.
you.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, sir. Sir, firstly, just to round up what's happening in this world, sir. It seems to be, whichever continent you pick up, there is chaos somewhere or the other. South America is
That is,
Venezuela, North America, there's elections everywhere.
I think it is chaos as a strategy.
Okay.
You have chaos in Ukraine, you have chaos in the Middle East, you have chaos in South Asia, in the sense of this is, if Bangladesh is one country, but when there is fire in the neighborhood, the smoke also rises. So we have to be careful of that. We have to be very careful of that. And I can see already people talking a little irresponsibly on TV. So, but that apart, I think look what has happened to Europe, the immigration, and today they are actually talking about a civil war in the UK. A lot of commentators are saying we are heading to a civil war, and the kind of restrictions the British have imposed on Twitters and tweets. It's amazing. I mean, they keep telling us you're not, and they grade us way down in our freedoms. And this is what they do to themselves and say it is in the national interest. So this is what they are. And United States, you have going to be having a very interesting election with interesting results. We don't know where it will go, but I think that the Americans, as far as external relations are concerned, operate between two tram lines. The direction is the same, the goal is the same, but you just change either the speed or you move to the right lane or the left lane,
Hmm.
and you keep moving towards that. So American national interest is the prime goal, to preserve that, backed by for a long time with an ability to safeguard it and promote it. But in a changing world where other powers are rising, China has risen. Russia could not go down as the Americans expected it to go down. And there is India also showing signs of coming up and
Hmm.
doing pretty well economically. So, and once you do things like ignoring the sanctions and saying, they say, don't buy oil from Russia, and we say, go to hell, we're going to buy it. Don't go. We take very sort of. We don't take very well to your visit, forthcoming visit to meet Putin. So what? We'll go and meet him. These are things that you do, and you find you being ignored. Then you're center stage, and others are watching, and they say, look, the Indians are giving them a thumbs.
Hmm.
Why not we? So it has a demonstration effect. They don't want that. That's why they need to keep us in check. And I think that's going to be on their cards all the time. The Israel thing is complicated. It has spread wide, lasted longer. But I think it wasn't the intelligence failure that everybody thinks it was. That's my opinion. I'm going to write about it, but that's how I look at it. That how is it that you have intelligence about the arsenals that are kept under Al Shifa Hospital in underground with underground tunnels. You have that intelligence. You don't have intelligence about October 7.
That is the biggest question, yes, sir.
The Americans told their citizens to stay away from Moscow because there was an impending terror attack. They had no intelligence about October 7. You know, see, there are doubts about the whole thing. I don't know how it will work out. I don't know how it was planned. I'm merely saying that to say there was no intelligence, abject failure of the Mossad, the Shin Bet, the, the other one, with A, Amar, Aram, the military
Mm.
intelligence.
Yeah, military intelligence. It's a tough
All
name.
put together, make a formidable source of information, intelligence. So that has gone on longer than expected. They've been able to hit Hamas leaders. There's been the expected reaction that the Iranians said has not yet come. I don't know whether they're planning or not planning. That I don't know. So that again is a situation of permanent limbo. You don't know which way it's going to go.
Hmm.
Ukraine has been a disaster for the Americans, more a disaster for the Ukrainians, but then who cares? The American companies are already there to rebuild the country. So that money, first you send arms when the money was paid off in America, then you send the constructor who will then be paid off in America. So it's a happy world.
Yeah.
Everything gets going. But I am more worried today about how the Islamic force is going to react in Europe. How are the Europeans going to react? They've started doing some things. Geert Wilders has been talking a lot. The Dutch have done. I think the Germans have pulled down some mosques.
Yeah.
But so what? And then what?
It's a quick fixer.
So it's a and you know and the other thing I think when they relate to us, they have the Europeans have this problem that we are all Christian. Majority is Christian, let's say. They're Jews and smattering of other people. Um, we're all Christians, but we speak different languages. We eat different kinds of food. Our culture is similar, but not the same in different parts of Europe. How is it this Indians twice our size, thrice our size in population, many more languages, many more states, many more customs, many more ways of dressing, are still one? Can they be like us, or can we be like them? EU was an attempt, but I don't know whether it succeeded or not. It was
Mm.
an economic union mostly, nothing else. So now the pressures are coming to all these states individually. It's maybe and the refugees. I do not know exactly from where Germany is getting its refugees or where the Dutch or the Brazil or the Belgians got them. Well, they got them from their former colonies or they got them from the Middle East.
Mm.
But it is going to affect their systems as their economies continue to go downhill.
Yep.
Then are you going to be able to give that kind of social benefits as you do now? And how are you going to recover? I think the Europeans are in a bit of a mess. And then I hear it may not, it's exaggeration perhaps, not quite true, but people do talk of a civil war in the UK, and they say that, I mean, London is no longer London of 1970 or 60. It's different. It's gone.
Yep.
So that is the chaos of Europe. Is the chaos of Middle East. You're now getting a new developing chaos in Bangladesh. How it spreads out, God help us.
God help us. Indeed, sir. So my you opened with a very strong statement. You said this is design chaos. How would you kind of explain that, and what is the end goal?
The design chaos, though, it's a new way of controlling it. What do you want to? How you want power and control? You are unable to control the world with your own more forces. So I want to use your sources, your manpower, and try and control. It's not working. It's getting worse because you cannot design chaos. You can start it, but it's like a whirlwind. It can go anywhere. Ukraine was supposed to be over how in how many months, and how long
three
has it gone on?
three weeks, sir.
How many have died
uh, Unofficially 750,000 in Ukraine, sir.
in Ukraine? We don't know how many Russians have died.
150 to 200,000 minimum.
Put it at a million.
Yeah, easy, sir.
Put together all other things. Civilians died, and God knows what. And what have we got in the end?
Nothing.
Who has gained?
As I call it, the deep state, sir.
The deep state. So chaos is successful. If the deep state is gaining,
Wow.
then chaos is successful.
But they're killing their own countries, sir. That's something that doesn't
No,
make.
that's the Americans who are killing. That's the Ukrainians are doing it, not the Americans.
No, but Americans are also killing their own country. Look at what's happening inside. A million illegals,
We, you
more than
know,
a million,
wh-
about 7 million illegals.
when you think of doing things like this, you want to expand NATO. You're only thinking of power. You're not thinking of the consequences. You presume that Putin will attack and will be over in 3 weeks, and Putin would have been finished. It doesn't work like that. That man had been planning for this for 10 years. Ever since he came to power, he's been telling them Ukraine is a no-no. The William Burns, who was the U.S. ambassador in Moscow,
To- Today, the
he
CIA
wrote,
chief.
now the CIA chief, he wrote in his book, Ukraine is a no-no.
Yep,
Don't do
yep,
it.
yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, but the deep state says, no, this man doesn't know. He's becoming a he's become a Russian, maybe. So he was overlooked, and you see the results.
When
So
we
it's
look at.
it's okay. You can say that it's half sarcastic, half ironical, but they well, the American business ends gained both times. When they were launching the thing, the material went in,
Hmm.
equipment went in, your stocks were lowered. You could bring in new stock, etc., etc., new weaponry. But and that now you can send in British, American companies to reconstruct Ukraine, and we'll give them loan to do it, and so they will pay back the loan to the Americans in due course. What happens is the money remains in USA, and they do the
Hmm.
construction and come away. Payment is made in US. So you've achieved your goal. After all, remember Mission accomplished when Bush announced in May
Yeah.
aboard that ship in the Mediterranean, mission accomplished. US sixth fleet, I think, after Iraq. That wasn't a military mission accomplished. It was the mission to bring back oil to the dollar. Saddam Hussein had begun to send oil in euros.
Euros.
That was not acceptable. It had to be a petrodollar. So they went in, took over, got the reversal, and mission was accomplished. The rest you can do now. What you want to do, fight on, get rid of Saddam. That's for effect.
What's their game around here, sir? This is the most important part of the world today. This is the center of the world, as they say. Why are they creating chaos in Pakistan? You can see the plans of Balochistan.
Mm.
Balochis are being openly supported by the elements of the deep state, if I may. You see what's happening in Bangladesh. There was no need to do this. I don't see any strategic advantage that the Americans would gain, or there is some gas there in
If
Bangladesh.
you hazard a guess or took at the extreme, are they getting ready for China? Look, Madam Sheikh Hasina said they wanted this St. Martin's Island from them from Bangladesh. I said no, and that's what annoyed them.
Hmm.
Hmm? Then she made that statement that they are building, trying to construct a Christian state in the
Eastern.
triangle. Okay, and the Americans know that you have to control China somehow, otherwise it's going to overtake them in the future.
Future.
Not tomorrow, not day after, but in the as it is in many cases, many aspects of human activity, they are ahead of US. They're much stronger in this in the Pacific, for instance, compared to the US fleets there. So they want to take on China. It's a hypothesis. Hypothesis. They want to do something to China for Taiwan. They have the AUKUS. They have the Quad. Quad is not the real
Military.
one is AUKUS. And where the Australians are getting worried that these Americans are now trying to involve us in a war with China. These statements have started to come out of Australia.
Yep.
So that's one aspect. You want St. Martin's Island to keep a watch on Chinese activity in the Bay of Bengal. No?
Okay. Quite
Okay.
weak, sir, but
Weak hai to you want to you just want to be there.
I'd say that, yeah.
Yeah? You want to
True.
be there. You want to be in the action. I don't want to leave anything up out of the all
Yeah.
possibility, all bases covered. You're a powerful state, but also a paranoid state.
Hmm.
So you want to, and you have the resources. If you were to ask the government of India to build a base in St. Martin's Island, it'd probably take us 10 years to decide. Get the money, get the reasoning done, and all that. However, that is one thing because the Chinese have a base. They have presence in Hambantota. They have a presence in Maldives. So you want to cover the Bay of Bengal and the Indian Ocean. You can't leave it to the Indians alone. At one moment, I also thought that maybe the Chinese would be interested in
Hmm.
keeping Americans out, or the Chinese would be interested in pulling this government down in Bangladesh. But it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. I mean, they've got that brick border roads thing and the military arrangements, which, if anything, the Indians should have got upset.
Hmm.
If the Indians should have got upset with the Bangladesh dealing on armament with the Chinese.
It's actually good for us. We can see the Chinese equipment close by then.
Maybe that's why we kept quiet.
Yeah.
क्या आता क्या है? I believe it's not too hot.
No, the tank turrets are exploding. The Chinese said, "You bought Pakistani ammunition. Talk to them."
so, so ये सब ये these are all. Otherwise, why on earth are the Americans so interested?
Yeah, it does
Are
make
Americans?
sense.
No, why? Only Roosevelt can have repeated presidencies. No other government can. What's wrong with if Sheikh Hasina does her arrangements with the Chinese? The Pakistanis did it, and you said
Mhm.
nothing. So they have been at it after the second term and working at it. It, student revolts, these kind of things, narratives, visits by delegations, giving suggestions, slash, you know, mild threats to the government over a period of time. But she didn't seem to
No,
understand, or didn't want to understand, or didn't care. And suddenly, in June 4, was it? The High Court decision in Bangladesh?
the day that our election results come out, when they realize nothing's going to happen here, that result comes out there.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
a little too funny, you know.
So they went off there. Ideally, they were hoping that हमारे यहाँ 200 तक सीटें आ जाएंगी and they'll be in a bit of a mess and then we'll play the game. However, that didn't happen. So, for the case goes to Supreme Court immediately. It takes 17 days to decide and reverse the High Court decision. Don't you think the case is closed? The students have got what they wanted, but
Yep,
didn't.
they did.
It changed direction. It became political.
Mhm.
It became religious. So when you want to do that, you have to prepare the logistics. You have to work out who's going to do what, say what. You can't decide at the spur of the moment. Or you go there and you go there and you lead that. No, it's all worked out. Riots are made to happen.
Yeah,
They don't automatically spring up. वो एक दिन हो जाएगा कहीं झगड़ा एक गली में, you can have a scuffle between two communities and we beat up a few chaps, maybe एक आधा मर भी जाएगा. But 2 or 3 days, the whole thing is over and you get back to normal. These are long term repeats, and they go on and on. And standard modus operandi start with the young students.
always. Yes, sir. It
They're
started
young,
here as well with the students.
and
JNU, it started in.
it gives that guy that macho
Yeah,
image. I'm going
yeah.
to do something for the country. These old Faridads are messing up everything, messing up everything. So I've got to work it out. I will do it. Collects his own. And many of these guys in college, that, have hangers on who dote on the guy or the girl,
Mm.
and they have their following, and they all march off, singing patriotic songs and saying that this is मेरा हक है और चलो. अभी भी जो हिंदू demonstrations हो रहा है, young girls. You see those young girls raising those slogans and shouting. So yeah, that is that age you do that. It's
Quite convenient, right, sir?
उनको, and they don't ask too many questions. So बर्मा में ऐसे ही हुआ था. स्टूडेंट्स से शुरू किया था. Then everybody joined in. Everybody joined in. And they thought they'd won the case and that the politicians will be in charge now. I think it was 8th August, I think. 8th or 8/8/88.
Mm.
The Burmese army took over one night. Tuck, finished, locked up, gone. But their army was stronger, and these chaps are all harmless in that sense, not the stone throwing or they didn't have any arms or not even a lathi. They were all rounded up. And for the moment, it was solved. And the most upset were the Americans,
Yeah,
followed by the British, that their game had been scuttled. So that's how we are today, in a not a happy situation. I hope nothing further happens. I don't. I hope there's no clash between these 1.3 crores and the rest in Bangladesh. But this show of strength is good. It of unity and strength. It would not be easy to, to overlook them. And
that's true, sir.
what is this glare on me? One second.
It's probably the sunlight from somewhere. Guys, by the time Surf hits that sunlight, please, please, please like this video. 2,300 of you watching on this beautiful Sunday afternoon, please like. Okay, we need to get 100% likes for this video, so please hit that. We will come to your questions as well. I want to ask you one other thing. So when you destabilize a region, right, like the Indian subcontinent, you're destabilizing within India as well. And look at the series of events we mentioned about the 4th of June. We went across and then we did you know all that happened. Pakistan has been destabilized pretty badly, as a matter of fact, and if anybody says the Americans don't have a hand in it, refuse to believe that. They've been funding the Afghans and this and that. Bangladesh is down and dump now. I know the Americans are starting to deal with Nepal as well. There are people within us here. You come out with a USCIRF report. Why? Because India was being a little hard on the Hindu narrative. Bring it down. Narrative still goes up. Hindenburg report.
Hmm.
More attacks will keep coming.
You got it.
Sir,
You got it. You got it right.
this is a country which is going to support you and your money in the future. You're investing in this country. Why are you trying to destabilize it?
It beats me. It just beats me. Why? I always used to say that for us, we never got any bonus for our democracy. We were a colonial colony on day one, and we retained our democracy.
Hmm.
As they said that they are the defenders of democracy, then they should have championed us. But because we were seen to be perceived to be with the Soviet group, we were PNG, persona non grata,
Hmm.
most of the time. And they would always support Pakistan on in the Security Council for the Kashmir vote, and it used to be the Soviet Union which supported us. So the American interest always comes first. Democracy is a slogan,
Yeah,
not a goal,
that's true.
because you support how many how many non-democratic, undemocratic leaders, autocratic leaders are in some alliance or friendship or pact with the Americans. We are always told, oh, we have the same ideals, same this, same that. But beyond that, nothing. Beyond that, you'll have huge write-ups on the BJP, on the Hindus, on Indian leaders, primarily Modi. And BBC was prepared to do a revamp of a 2002 documentary last year. So these are the pressure tactics. You're no good till you're with me. A democracy is not something. Do you think there's democracy in Bangladesh today? And they're saying that democracy has been saved by whom? How has democracy been saved by having an unconstitutional person heading your government? backed by the
He's a,
army.
he's a Nobel laureate, sir.
Hey, Nobel laureate. We know how that happens.
Yeah, yeah.
Aung San
Even
Suu
I,
Kyi, suddenly she was given. Then the next year, when June 1990 happened, His Holiness was given. You know, why didn't they give him that 20 years earlier?
no.
And why did Obama get it? He started bombing Syria after that.
I think he was on the committee. He said, "यार एक मेरे को भी दे दो." You know. So coming to a little larger picture, when we see the Americans retreating today, it's a retreat. Um, One of the reasons I look at the St. Martin's Island is you don't have the navy to kind of control the oceans today. You just don't have it. You control the oceans with your navy. You had 400 destroyers at one time. You had 12
Hmm.
of these massive city type aircraft carriers,
Hmm.
another bloody township types, those mini carriers and stuff like that. Today, you don't have that kind of capability.
Hmm.
Uh, this is one of the only straight points or the choke points where the Americans aren't there in full presence. The Malacca, Sunda, and all these areas. This is the only one. The rest of them, the Americans are there fully present in these choke points.
Yeah.
Do you think this is the strategy to kind of control these choke points?
Yeah,
And
that's what I said. This is Bay of Bengal. You're just sitting at the top of the bay, and if you have this Isthmus Canal worked out in Thailand,
yeah,
cutting
Krakow.
across,
Hmm.
that would change the game in many ways. So you want to be there yourself. Don't leave it to these wretched Indians. They won't do it for you. So you want to be there. The Chinese are interested, and they want to make the Bay of Bengal, Indian Ocean, Arabian Sea as the new battleground or whatever you call it for the sea.
So do you buy this whole Christian state narrative, sir?
Christian state, I think it's maybe it's just a red herring.
Right?
Herring.
Exactly, right? Push you towards
Yes,
that side while we do something here.
we do something else. We all get involved in that, and you keep
Manipur,
nibbling
Manipur,
away.
Manipur, Manipur,
Ah,
Manipur,
nibbling away. Yes, yeah, yeah.
seems like
So
it's
you do that because how would you maintain it? How would do you think if you want to make it a trilateral, the Indian government will happily agree?
no, there'll
We
be a
have
war.
said not an inch of land. So, and, and do you think they would send in troops to defend it? Which troops will they send? Who will be interested? Not the Myanmaris, not the
Mhm.
Bangladeshis, certainly not the Indians. So, with whose troops are you going to force that decision?
A bunch of 1,000, 1,500 cookies doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I've
It's
been
a
thinking this to myself. Why this Christian state? Because it doesn't make sense.
नहीं शुरू में कहते थे कि somewhere I read that at the time of partition the hope was that the northeast would branch off on its own and it would be
Crown
Christian.
colony, yes, sir. Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that side the Nagas, Mizos, and they'll all branch off and become Christian and don't agree to the Indian Union. So as a result, they would have a presence in that region. तो इंडिया को तोड़ना तो पूरी तरह तोड़ो ना तो ये नहीं हुआ and they were left with India with the northeast but then other things happened which we were not very careful of
Hmm.
the influx of Bangladeshis we never ever controlled it why don't just for votes
Pretty
is
much,
that
yes, sir.
huh? Huh?
Pretty much. Hmm.
Vote banks all over so they're not um, the the Zoland, as it was, I think, mentioned, or Coland, one of them. ये
It's the K project, Cookie Land.
हाँ, ठीक है, ये नहीं होगा नहीं.
No, sir. Sir, when we also look at, and this is my last question to you, the Middle East, which is again a part of this whole region that
Hmm.
India is interested in again.
Hmm.
We want the peace to stay, place to stabilize. We've got this INSTC, which has huge potential. Uh, we are connected to Bangladesh via the INSTC. So that's another, we are connected to Mongolia, by the way. We're buying a
Hmm.
huge amount of coking coal from there for
Hmm.
our steel and everything. And by the way, today China is buying steel from us because the kind of steel we are making, they're
Hmm.
not able to make
Oh, I
themselves.
don't know. I don't know that. No, I don't
Yeah.
know that.
So the high grade steels, they're buying it from us now. So the low grade stuff we buy from them still.
Hmm.
But because of the coking coal, the Mongolians don't give it to the Chinese. They gave it
Hmm.
to the Russians. So we are
Okay.
buying it from the Russians around from the INSTC and coming down. So there's a
It's
whole
uh,
game there as well. And that's why you've seen recent visits to Ulaanbaatar and all this stuff starting up. So it's
that's another thing that the Americans are not very happy with is the northern sea route.
yeah,
ईरान एनिमी, रशिया एनिमी, तो आप उनके साथ डील कर रहे हो.
interesting. So when you see the Middle East, sir, I mean,
हाँ.
something has to crack in this place. It can't go on the way it has been going on, right? I look at it. Iran needs to get its nuclear weapons. Then only the Middle East will start calming down.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it will not happen. I mean, that it will just not happen.
Conversely, conversely, if it doesn't get it soon enough, uh,
It will crack
it could
open.
be, it'll crack open.
Yeah,
Do you think, when Gaddafi surrendered his nuclear option, he was got rid of in a year or two after that? He
that's what I'm
said,
saying.
I'm not doing it. They finished him.
Yeah,
They finished off Saddam because he didn't have the weapons, although that was the narrative going in that he's making WMDs and etc. He didn't have it. He had intentions at one stage, but he didn't have any weapons.
mhm.
So usko bhi
Yeah.
khatam kar.
So
That is
to
what
gain,
Iran does, that this could happen to them.
yeah, that's why he wants it. And I personally would say, okay, let him have the weapons, let him calm down.
Hmm.
You know, because
Get
without
him
that, he's not going to
secure.
calm down.
Uh,
He's not going to calm down. There's no way he will let go of his proxies if he's not secure about himself. Not going to happen. So with this whole chaos, India's option of a leverage is now this whole visit to Ukraine and this and that whole leverage option that you make yourself so indispensable within this global order, especially between Russia and America. There's no way that they can muck around with you any further because both the
hmm.
countries are basically going to talk to you. So is this like a you know
No, the very fact that he's going there and he's going to, regardless what the results are, the the image is of a man trying to solve a problem.
yeah,
I mean, that's and that he'd gone to Putin. Putin probably put him onto it, and we got this done.
that's the whole
But
thing.
what annoys us, the advisories that you keep getting to given to us. You do this or that. You're not right, or else we will do this to you.
Hmm.
This is kinds of threatening talk that comes in. But Middle East is या तो इनका तेल खत्म हो जाएगा, वो होगा नहीं. So long as you have to depend on oil and on the Middle East, since you've closed yourselves out from Russia, you have to keep playing around with these governments. I think the Saudis have understood that
Yeah,
without you can get on with life with your oil,
yeah,
and if you diversify.
yeah.
I mean, just don't be a tourist center or a shopping enclave for the rich in Dubai or somewhere. You actually do something with your money and become a diversified. economy, if possible.
Mm. That's what he's trying to do with this whole corridor,
Yeah.
is to kind of become a
Yeah.
normal country, in quotes. Amazing. So let's take a few audience questions. By the way, just for your knowledge, so we've got 2,800 people sitting on a Sunday afternoon watching us. So that should tell you quite a bit. And the number
It's a,
will only grow.
it's a,
Uh,
it's a good gathering.
yes, sir, it is. You're filling up more than three PVRs. So,
All
you know,
right.
that should make you feel good. But it's guys, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. You guys need to do 100% likes. Yeah, with 1,200 likes we've reached, coming close, but we need to have 70 to 80, 90%, and even 100% likes on this particular show. So please hit hard. I know there are few of you who are watching from Pakistan and other countries as well. आप भी like कर दो यार, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, अच्छा वीडियो है. लाइक करो, आपको ना भी अग्री करो, बट फिर भी लाइक कर दो. बाय द वे, देयर इज अ जेंटलमैन हु सेड दैट आई एम फ्रॉम पाकिस्तान. I immensely respect Mr. Vikram Sood, but I don't agree with him. So
Oh, that's fine. That's
that's
fine.
fine. So let's get into your questions. And what do you have to say, Guru Prasad ji? So we'll just do sort of a rapid fire. Thank you so much. You say, what will be Bharat's threshold against Bangladesh crisis to change the chicken neck into the tiger's paw? Would you want to do anything of that sort, sir?
No, apart from strengthening the area physically with with borders being strengthened, maybe you change the demography of the place. Maybe someday there will have to be a realignment of of the boundary, and so that the neck becomes more defensible. It's not just the neck; it's the neck and the shoulder as well.
Yeah,
And so we'll have to think of those things bilaterally. Agreements can be worked out.
absolutely. Venkatesh ji, thank you so much. You say, so isn't this like a Ukraine movement for India where we will be sucked into a military action in Bangladesh?
Not likely at all. Not likely at all. We're not going to do that. It's this two in their own juice.
Yeah. So that's what Sarvani ji says. She says, thank you, firstly. Sir, do you think India should do, if Bangladesh becomes one more Syria, what do you think India should do when it becomes one more Syria
Hmm.
with full out terror organizations operating there?
Oh, we've dealt with terror organizations in India for a long time. They come in from Pakistan. They've had Nakshals. We've had IPF and all that. We are able to
Mhm.
deal with. It takes a lot of beating. It takes a lot of hard work. We lose a lot of casualties, but I think the Indian armed forces are the best equipped force to tackle insurgency and terror.
As a matter of fact, sir, I said something the other day which a lot of people wrote to me about and said beautiful, but that's the Indian Army's game there, that an iron hand with a velvet glove,
Yeah,
and it
that's
really
how we.
works.
That's how we succeeded.
There's still issues, but more or less we are much better off
We
than
are
other
1.4
countries.
billion people. There will always be issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always be issues, and some
So
issues will probably never get solved. Some might get
absolutely.
solved. Yeah.
Subhajit ji, thank you. Can we supply arms to fleeing Awami League people? I think a
No, I
repeat of
can't.
19.
I am not in a position to answer that kind of a
Answer
question.
that. Yes, sir.
That's a policy statement. I can't do it.
Yes. Myself, thank you. There's huge oil reserves and free gas, 63 billion cubic meters in Andaman Nicobar Island, and more in Lakshadweep. US wants to corner India for the future.
Why would they want more oil from us? They got enough in the Middle East. Is there a problem there?
They've got enough at home, sir.
Yeah, they don't need actually Middle East. Is it only to control distribution of the oil?
Hmm. Trade
You know,
routes.
uh, I'll control they'll send the American company to distribute after it has been processed. That is
One
a possibility.
oneness. Thank you. You say democracy is a new age conduit for colonialism. Nothing hot about it. We have to carve out our own political philosophy. Commence.
I don't quite understand this.
It's a new age conduit for colonialism in the sense I okay, let me rephrase that, sir. uh, Morality is the new colonialism because everything is supposed to be through American values and Western values. If you're not
Wokeness.
following the Western values, you
Uh,
are not democratic.
no, it is the West which has to change. Because if our values are what they are, then and we are the rising power, you better get used to us. And
Interesting.
that is what will require a lot of adjustment. Because from on high, you want to come down in your own eyes while the other chap rises. So you have to make adjustments in your own way of life.
All right.
And to follow the Western system all the time, it hasn't worked.
Nava Prashamji says the deep state targets majority religions in all countries. Why? Even in their own country, that's a very good point. As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
Trump is supposed to be Christian nationalists.
I think the a country or a nation draws its ethos from the majority religion. So unless you weaken that, you can't take control. Merely bolstering the minority is not enough. You got to pull this chap down, weaken him, divide him, talk to him in caste basis, talk to him on language, economy. You can raise so many issues to divide the majority, especially in a country which is not as affluent as the rest of them are. Getting there, but not yet.
It's weird, sir. Okay, this is an interesting twist to the whole Christian narrative. He says, Venkatesh Sab says, thank you, firstly. Sina has created a Christian narrative to alert her countrymen. National security didn't cut it with the people. She was hoping that religious concern would galvanize them against the threat. Possible.
But didn't I think it came too late if that was the intention. Her game was getting. I think it was in May or April. She said this
Yes, last year, April, sir.
last year. I think it was getting too close to her being foisted out. Actually, they thought that she would go out in the January election, but didn't happen. So, I also think that not many in Bangladesh itself would have bought it. It wasn't a threat which involved the Indian main state. It was something there, local, not the same as the mainland India was doing.
Hmm. Dr. MPC, thank you. You say, sir, how can we protect our Muslim youth from radicalization? Well, if you find an answer, sir, let me know. Education, jobs, prosperity are not changing the mindset.
Yeah, it's not changing the mindset, but is there anything else? Unless you change the Quran.
Even MBS is scared of
That
doing
is
that.
immutable. That is a book that is immutable,
Yeah,
not expected to change. Other religions have had upgrades, as you might call it,
reform.
reforms, but this is still 7th century.
That's true, sir. What Hunter? He says, thank you. Firstly, is US a military base in Bangladesh? Well, US military base in Bangladesh a possibility? We've discussed that. Second part is what I want to ask you. He says, what are the countermeasures that India can take? Is a Bangladesh China FTA a possibility? What will that mean for India Bangladesh trade relations? I don't think Bangladesh China is the thing. So, what I want to ask you is, what kind of countermeasures can India take with growing relation? I mean, kind of focus of the Americans in Bangladesh itself.
You say that again. Sorry, I missed
What
that.
kind of counteractions can India take with
Hmm.
growing American kind of footprints within Bangladesh, sir?
Ah, well, that's a tough ask because either you within quotes, coerce the Bangladeshis that no wheat, no
Electricity.
cotton, no electricity. Are you with us or against us? And yeah, the Americans are not going to supply all this from back home. Certainly not electricity. So they can be pressures, but ideally they should be able to work with the people. And now that the Americans are using the Islamists, as it is looking like, because they are the ones who are going to call shots in Bangladesh.
Hmm.
I don't see how the Americans will get a better footprint in USA in Bangladesh. They couldn't get it in Afghanistan. So how will they get a good foothold in a country where Islam rules and Orthodox Islam rules?
Hmm.
The Jamaat Islam in Hijazat
Yeah.
क्या रहा है? Hijazat
He, yeah,
Islam.
something like that. But sir, the
Hafiz
I have
Islam.
I have more problems with the ISIS gang which is there.
वो तो आएगा. They will grow. Or offshoot तो
They're
होंगे.
already there, sir. They're already there.
नहीं. What I mean is that more will grow.
Yeah, yeah. I'm more worried about that because these
That
these other
that is something we have to be careful of.
yeah other terrorist organizations you can give money and calm them down, but not the ISIS. They've got
Hmm.
enough money of their own, so
फंड किसने किया है उनको?
isn't there a country called America, sir? By any chance? I wonder, right?
I I won't ask you any questions on that.
Even in Pakistan, so these monkeys are funding them. Somnath Boseji, thank you. You said US. Do you think US controls the drugs that are there in the Northeast? I heard that the CIA operated their own airlines, Air America, carrying drugs at some point of time. Vietnam,
There used to be an American Airlines or something like that. It was called
American Air.
American Air. That's the one. In Southeast Asia, they used to operate Vietnam, Laos, Indonesia, Thailand. They probably do it still.
Hmm.
I don't know, but I don't think they operate in India. They probably operate in
Outside it.
Middle East, in Pakistan, Afghanistan, other places, and there is a tie-up with that.
Anonymous, thank you. You say, sir, imagine the messaging if the market stays intact tomorrow after Hindenburg.
Uh, Phew, I'm not an economic expert in that sense, but I think nothing much will happen. If it clips down for a day, it'll be back. I
Yeah.
already see a lot of articles rubbishing this report.
Yeah. So I've put some
Saying,
money in my Demat account saying, okay, if this thing happens, this time I want to leverage it out. Last time I missed the train. I'm going to punk him into Adani. And when he rebalances himself and the stock price goes up, earn some money out of it. Last time I
yeah.
completely missed it. So now this
Well,
time I'm ready.
I think this is a that's what my friends who understand
Yeah.
economics told. This is bunk. This is a feeble attempt.
Yeah.
Nothing will happen, and they those two are clean. Husband wife are clean. They don't have it. Um, Suddenly, this Hindenburg fellow is.
Some
So
monkeys,
you
I
like,
guess. Ankit ji, thank you. You say, sir, Namaskar. Can India not play the same game in the US homeland as tit for tat? Are we not? We are not short of money for these operations.
money is not the only thing. How many Indian newspapers are read by Americans? How many channels from India are watched by the Americans?
Yep.
Huh? How many movies from India do they see? Here, every reasonably educated person knows about Hollywood movies and this movie and that movie. And they've read books, they've read novels, they've read history. How many Indian journalists are posted and assigned to New York and Washington and
At the
California?
moment, three, sir.
Three. And how many agencies have got? So you can't do it with money alone. You got, and it can't be a government effort alone. It has to be a joint effort. It has to be ideally a more corporate than a uh, government effort. CNN and Fox TV, all these other channels, they're mostly privately owned. 90% of the channels are privately owned in USA, out of which 90% are owned by five or six people.
Hmm. We are at 55 minutes, sir. I promised you I'll let you go in an hour, so I've got another 4 minutes with you. Let me just run through questions.
Okay.
Uh, Thought Provocator says, "Thank you. Has Raw evolved well for information age, cyber, and crypto?"
Thought provocateur, I retired 20 years ago. I don't know now what's going on.
Well,
If I
with the
did,
with the crypto busts that are happening right now in the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks, about $3 million, sir.
uh
So yeah, I think they know what they're doing now. So there's a financial intelligence unit that has come up, which is public domain knowledge,
okay.
which is focusing on crypto hardcore. So they're
No, I'm
breaking bad.
sure. I'm
Like,
sure they're aware of the new risks and new techniques. So they must have worked it out. 20 years ago, it was different. We didn't even have a mobile phone or a smartphone, which has changed life altogether for everyone.
Parth, sir, thank you. He says, Vikram, sir, is there any way I can get my book signed? By the way, there are people who are asking, you've written two, where's the third one? So,
It's still with the publisher.
okay. So that, guys, there's a third one coming, you know. So when it
Yeah.
does come, we will launch it on this channel, and trust you me, we will be able to, a lot of people will be waiting for it. So
Thank you.
let's wait for the book launch, Parthji, and I think we should be able to do that as well. Um, okay. Here. Thank you, AK Saab. How do we protect Bangladeshi Hindus if they're not willing to consolidate?
They have, I think the latest indication is that they're willing to consolidate. The strength of the unity that you saw on TV was remarkable.
Yeah.
And that's how you get together. But the important thing in life is you just don't have to get together, you have to stay together. That is, in good times, you have to stay together, not just when
In
you are
bad.
under threat, that you gang up together to get the enemy off your back and then you go back to whatever you were doing. We have to culturally, socially, linguistically, wherever, merge. And envy is always a problem. The success of somebody else. It's human nature, I guess, not just uh, particular to the Hindu, that we get envious of success of the other person, or see disagreement as an insult, which is not. It is better to have a man working with you who disagrees with you than a man who agrees with you blindly. Then you don't need him. You need a man who says no and you pause and think why. That's what we have all got to learn.
Wow. So I'm going to take this two-part question, so just bear with me. Naveen Saab says it's an interesting question, so we'll give you a thought. Thanks for a comprehensive and digestible overview. On one hand, we see a conflict based on US plus West versus China, Russia, Iran, North Korea. Then we see religious civilizational conflict in the EU and the Middle East. Then we also see a global south versus a developed world, sort of a balance. As
Mm.
the tensions peak, which theme do you think will emerge as dominant?
Good question. Very good question. I'd like to see the team we are on should win.
Global
That
South.
would be the global south. But our time is, I think our time is coming.
Yes, sir. It's
Our
going to be
time is
tough times,
coming.
sir.
Huh?
It's going to be tough times ahead for the next couple of years.
Of course, nobody is going to give you greatness by generosity. You have to achieve it yourselves. You have to work at it. You have to stay together. That's the important thing. Unfortunately, this kind of readings that I get on the Indian political scene, it's not very healthy.
Mm.
We have to, the, you know, you can't take a, what should I say? You can't take a wrong decision or a failure of the government as a victory for yourself. It's a loss for the nation. Maybe a responsible opposition would advise you what to do, but we don't have that. We just don't have. We only have somebody who keeps obstructing. People get the government they deserve, they say, na? We also get an opposition we deserve. And that's
Wow,
what we've
that's
got.
a hard hitting statement, sir.
Yeah. I So we've ourselves got to be selective. Decide क्या चाहिए क्या हमको. Governments only reflect, hopefully, what the people want, and then the road, drive on the road uh, given or made. But you can't just keep saying no to everything. Just because I can't keep saying no to you just because you've given me an idea. If you're given it, it must be silly. शुरू में ही बोल दी without giving any reason.
Any thought, reason, or yeah.
No, because it's come from you, it must be bad. It must be opposed. Or even dealing with nations or dealing with the powers that be. Not everything they say is against you. Not everything they do is against you. They do. A, a good nation does things for itself first. A strong nation looks after its interests first, and then it looks around. And if that includes
Oh,
after my interest, then I look after my neighbor. Otherwise, I
you know,
don't deal with
the whole program was amazing, sir. But trust you me, the reason I keep gunning after you for you to come back on my channel is this last bit that you've told us. This is something I haven't heard anywhere, and this is the key. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you note this down. Go back to the episode and listen to this again. I don't. A lot of people would have missed it out. Listen to this last part again. It's gonna change your mind. It's gonna change your perspective. It's gonna change the way you look at the situation around us today. Listen to it again, and I'm gonna have my the person who makes clips and shorts for me. I'm gonna make this into a solid short and put it out all over the place so that people listen to this last 30 seconds more and more and more. Sir, I'm going to take just 30 seconds more and acknowledge the people that have contributed to this, kindly contributed to this channel. And I've not been able to take their questions because of time. But let me just acknowledge their contributions. Dr. MPC, thank you. Myself, thank you so much. Sarvani ji, thank you. Oneness, thank you so much. Myself, thank you. Some questions are a little sensitive, so I didn't want to put them up. Dr. MPC, thank you so much. Anonymous, thank you. Suchmuch, thank you, Ji. Rohit Ji, thank you. Himanshu Ji, thank you. Retrowave, thank you. Ranjan Saab, thank you so much. Akshay Ji, Pravlam, thank you. Shekhar Ji, Anuish, Unknown Gunman, my favorite, thank you. And KSV Prasad Ji, thank you so very much for your contributions. But most of all, sir, thank you so much for taking out the time and helping us youngsters understand a lot more than what is written, what is spoken, and what is understood. So I think all of us will benefit a lot out of this conversation. Thank you so much. Always look forward to talking to you, sir.
It was great
Thank you.
talking to you, Adi. Stay strong.
Thank you, sir. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.